We have a special guest, Mr. Barry Accius.
Oh, there you go.
I said it right?
Yeah.
Founder of Voice of the Youth, which is a mentor and leadership program here in Sacramento. Community activist as well. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for
Appreciate
coming.
you.
So first of all, I wanted to get your takes. What do you think?
Man, you know what? Things are messed up. And I think things are messed up because I don't believe that a lot of people, and I will say the higher ups, the government officials, the people in city government, and even individuals didn't think this was going to get to this point.
Sure.
It's bad, right? Because you got to think about it. 2 years ago, we were in the same position. We were marching for Mike Brown. We were dealing with the Eric Gardner situation, the Tamir Rice situation. So things continued to spiral.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have a situation when people really believe, okay, well, here's the evidence. We're seeing this on live TV, on social media. There's no way that these cops are going to get away with this, right?
Yeah.
And there's no indictments. There's no guilty verdicts. You have those situations where the people are now fed up. When I was sitting here having an interview with CBS 2 years ago, I sat there and I told them, I said, somebody doesn't get a hold of this, guess what's going to end up happening? You're going to have a serious race issue. And I remembered when different channels locally were trying to talk about the race issue in Sacramento by itself. I said, you need to do that because we have to have the discussion. We have to have a conversation. We need to talk because there's a lot of healing. There's a lot of pain, and especially the pain for black people. When all you see is your fellow brother or sister being publicly lynched, a modern day lynching, and there is no repercussions for those who are supposed to serve and protect us. Our tax-paying dollars are given to them. You get frustrated, you get angry, and you get fed up.
Accountability. Yeah.
There has to be accountability. Yeah. And even in Sacramento, from Oakland to Chicago to St. Louis, nowhere has been accountability. All you see is no indictment, not guilty, no indictment, not guilty. And so what do you think the people are going to do after that?
Right. Do you think that it's just a lack of consistency from the Black Lives Matter movement or just movements in general to hold people accountable is the reason why these people are not getting prosecuted or being held accountable for the situations that are going on?
I think that in the end of the day, no, it's bigger than a Black Lives Matter movement. Really, in reality, it's a group. But before it became a group, organically, it was a movement, right? And you can only do so much going on the streets, picketing, petitioning and protesting, and you can do so much. And they're making a great wave of awareness, but really it's a systematic problem. So when you have this systematic oppression, when you have like these henchmen running around here that are not being checked, it's like us having a child, right? That child does one thing, you tell the child, okay, put that back, but you never discipline that child. And then turn around 10 years later, this child is now, behavior is out of control because you never disciplined them. Yeah. These people are not being disciplined. The only people that's getting disciplined are black people. And it's for what? So that's like, I don't look at it as a Black Lives Matter thing. I look at it as a system thing. If no one in the system from the higher up sees something wrong, then we have a huge problem.
Okay.
I agree completely with that. And I think Dallas last night we saw that. We saw where this has gotten out of control. And guys, this isn't anything new. No. Over the last 2 or 3 years, it's become more publicized because of the modern day use of the internet and social media.
And
but
cameras,
this has been happening well before any of us in this room were born.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? This has been a problem. But now, because of social media and everything, it's caused everyone to be aware of it. And what we're seeing now is that boiling over. And you get to a point where there are people in this world, I feel, that see it now as, okay, you're not going to do anything, well, an eye for an eye. While I'm not endorsing that, I think that is what we saw last night. And a big reason why is because what he just said, our elected officials, the chiefs of police are not being held accountable. The people that, did these acts are not being held accountable. And unfortunately, this is what you're seeing. And it's starting to spill over, and this is getting bad.
Here's the thing, what I look at. The OJ trial. Remember the OJ trial, right? Remember, we all remember the OJ trial, right?
Yeah.
And we
it's
watch
being
it
brought
now.
up,
Right up, right? On ESPN. You had pretty much a whole almost all black jury, right?
For the most part.
And he was acquitted. But turn around, they got him in the long run. It seems like black people have been paying for that. Because if you look at all the trials that have gone to trial with the police murders, there have been what? Pretty much a majority all-white.
Of course.
So the all-white jury is basically saying, well, we don't see anything wrong with what happened to Eric Gardner, even though this police choked him out. We don't see anything wrong with this young 12-year-old kid who had a BB gun or whatever he had, a toy gun, getting shot by this police. We don't see anything wrong about what happened with Mike Brown. So white jurors are basically saying black lives don't matter, and they're basically saying, well, you know, these police can do nothing wrong. So when people see that, and when we touch around with Dallas, watch how the media plays it. The media played it that it was 2 black snipers, and then all of a sudden they broadcasted, they put these people out there. So now the sense of fear is like, again, with the black people. Then all of a sudden, guess what? They released them. So we don't even really know what happened in Dallas. And I would like to say we have to be very careful how we look at what they're telling us about that Dallas shooting, because you have something like that happens, it takes away the focus on what we need to be focusing on. And that is the 2 black males in Minnesota and Louisiana that was murdered.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to think about, because now the narrative is we have to look at what happened to the police. If it is a real thing that happened, then you know what? I'm not condoning any kind of behavior.
Absolutely.
But you got to remember, you have to look at the action before you look at the reaction. And the actions of what has happened in 2 years. We're at 491 murders.
Yeah.
Murders of police. And last year we were at 6 months and we were kind of around that same number. You have to tell us that if you guys aren't getting a hold of it in the government with the city officials, and when you look at all through the states from Oakland to San Francisco, all the scandals that are happening, you're telling us that we're supposed to trust the people that can't even get their own stuff together. Chicago, a cover-up of a black male being murdered for a whole year where the governor knew, the chief of police knew. These things are happening constantly, and don't get it twisted, Sacramento has big issues as well.
So you deal with a lot of kids. I kind of want you to address the kids here. A lot of the young black males, all kids who are listening or whatever, I think it's important for them to know how you deal with the police and some of the things that you have to deal with, or you talk to them about or mentor them on when it comes to these race relations and the climate that we're all dealing with as a society.
Man, it's heavy. You know, it's heavy, and I always try to be real as possible, unapologetic. You know, I mean, I treat everybody with respect, and I try to move in a way to where my young people can see, especially with the young black males, because there's not enough real models. I like to say real models, role models play roles, and, you know, you don't know who they really are. But I like to be authentic, and what I like to always do and like to say as far as with my young people is that be careful how you approach a situation when it comes to the police. Like, when I say be careful, if you can, don't ever get in contact with them, right? And then if you are in contact with them, just be polite as possible, you know, say, hey, this is who I am, whatever you need, but don't get into no verbal altercation, because you can't win.
You're not going to win.
You're not going to win.
Regardless.
And then in that situation now, they can come up with any kind of excuse to shoot you down. And in the climate of Sacramento right now, with all of this gang war going down right now, I was just at a scene where the young boy got shot over in Oak Park at Tapers, just there. The police are nervous. They're nervous. They're fearful. So now that they see these young brothers, they're going to say, well, we have the excuse to protect ourselves because look what's going on in our community. So the things that are happening from coast to coast and in our hometown, it doesn't make good with our young people, but I make sure I encourage them to do the best that they possibly can and to make sure they move with the right crowd. And I don't really look at it like, oh, if they sag their pants or they cut their dreads, that, you know, they'll be looked at differently. It doesn't matter, because back in the day, we were wearing suits and ties and we were still getting lynched.
But so that's a conditional type of situation to put anybody in. It's just like telling a woman maybe if she didn't dress so provocative, she wouldn't get raped. It's the same type of connotation. Like, why would you even say that to someone? But as a youth leader, have you ever thought that maybe you should meet with the chief of police to have a conversation about our youth and how to approach them and how to talk to them, considering you're so in touch with them?
Well, here's the funny thing about it. Like, again, in 2014, 2015, you know, me and one of my community partners, we actually did forums. And we did some forums with the police officers. They came out, and it was trash. Like, the first one was cool, but then it was just trash because there's no accountability. right? And I do, unfortunately, I have to, with the work that I do with things surrounding our city. Right now, I'm pushing Don't Shoot Our Future Down with my brother, Pastor Les Simmons. We're really pushing a change in our community, creating one community where we're not looking at the differences of our communities, but we're looking at the similarities. But when we are in these moments with these officers, because we have to deal with them in these situations, you have some officers that are ready to work.
Yeah.
But then you have those other officers that look at these kids exactly what the stereotypes put about our kids in the media.
They dig their heels in.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's ugly. So, it's always a good conversation to have, but if someone's not going to take in the conversation and give you the outside perspective, if they just feel how they feel, the conversation is going to go nowhere.
Okay.
Man, I can't thank you enough, man, for coming by. I know we could talk about this forever, but, this is a radio show. We kind of got to move it along a little bit, but I do want you to give your information where people can reach you, where they can get more information, so on and so forth, as to what you do and how you help out in the community.
Facebook, Barry Accius, BERRY ACCIUS, Instagram, it's at Team Voy, TEAMVOY. I also want to sit there and say, give a shout out to my queens and Team New, and then also Pastor Les Simmons and I are actually doing a Don't Shoot Our Youth Down forum, community forum, inviting everybody. That's July 25th at the Simmons Center, and that is going to be talking about ways that a community can come together and we can have solutions to solving these problems. Because I think if we solve a lot of our problems in a community, problems with the police are going to be solved as well. We have to look at ourselves and be like, you know what, we need to challenge ourselves so they have no reason to even come into our community to do the bad policing that they're doing. So that's July 25th at the Simmons Center. Shouts out to Pastor Simmons. That's my dog right there, and all the people that support Voice of the Youth. Thank you. And then also Rob Brown and I are going to be doing MOB July 17th.
Nice.
That's at Another Look Barbershop. So that's going to be also coming as well. And, we just got a whole bunch of things going on, man.
We will post all this information on our page.
Yeah, we will. I thank you guys for letting me come in.
Oh, it's all good, man. Thank you.
It's time to talk about it. It's very
Yeah.
important. We got to talk about these things, so we appreciate your time.